The cross was a crown in disguise. They thought it was over. They saw a beaten man, bloodied and bruised, nailed to a wooden beam like a criminal. Soldiers mocked, priests cheered, skeptics shrugged. To them it was just another execution, just another body hung to die under Roman law. But what they didn't see was a coronation. The cross wasn't defeat. It was a throne. The blood wasn't tragedy. It was the anointing oil of a king. And the shame they hurled was actually prophecy unfolding. The cross was a crown in disguise. The world saw humiliation. God saw exaltation. You don't put the King of Kings on a cross unless the crown is coming next. But religion missed it. Still does. Pastors preach comfort, but forget the cost. Priests cling to rituals but ignore the resurrection. Imams reduce Jesus to a prophet and deny the very moment that split history. And skeptics say, if he was God, why did he die like a man? Because only God could die and turn the grave into a gateway. Only God could wear splinters and call it royalty. Isaiah 53:3 said he'd be despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows. That wasn't failure. That was strategy. They dressed him in a crown of thorns to mock him, but they didn't realize he was already king. The thorns weren't an insult, they were prophecy. Because Adam lost the crown in a garden of thorns, Jesus reclaimed it wearing thorns on his head. The cross looked like loss, but it was the key to the kingdom. That tree was supposed to end him. Instead, it enthroned him. That tomb was supposed to silence him. Instead, it turned into a megaphone heard through centuries. The cross was not a mistake. It was not a detour. It was the blueprint. When Jesus said, "It is finished," he wasn't giving up. He was rising up. You still don't believe? Then answer this. If Jesus was just a man, why does his name cause demons to tremble? Why do nations rise and fall under the weight of his word? Why does the symbol of the cross still split time in half, BC and AD? Because the cross wasn't the end of power. It was the transfer of power. Colossians 2:15 says, he spoiled principalities and powers, triumphing over them in it. In what? The cross. So while they stripped him of his robe, heaven was preparing to clothe him in glory. While they hammered nails, heaven was forging a name above every name. And while they lifted him high to mock him, they unknowingly exalted the only one worthy to sit at the right hand of God. The cross was a crown in disguise, and every time you doubt your worth, remember, you were purchased by a king who wore wood like gold and thorns like diamonds. He didn't need man's approval to rule. He didn't need Rome's endorsement to reign. He ruled from suffering. He conquered from death. And now that King calls you, not to religion, not to ritual, but to resurrection. So to every skeptic, priest, pastor, imam, and non-believer still blind to what happened on that hill, explain this. If the cross was defeat, why did the grave lose its power? Why did the stone roll away? Why does his name still save the addicted, heal the broken, and shake the gates of hell? Because that was no execution. That was enthronement. The cross was a crown in disguise. Prove me wrong.